Book 5 at this terrible school is called Snow War. And this series is caught in a very weird time loop. So it is winter. At least it's snowing, which assumes November, December, January, somewhere in that time period. Yet neither Karen nor Ricky wear glasses, even though they clearly got them early on in second grade in the main series. They're still in second grade, and they're both able to see perfectly fine without glasses. I would say the ghostwriters have no idea what the other ghostwriters are doing, but this book, this entire series, actually seems to indicate it's written by Anne Martin herself. We also know she wrote the first several Little Sister books, so she needs to get her story straight. So this book was kind of boring, to be honest. I read it a week ago, and I already forgotten almost all of it. Our plot kid is Ian Johnson, who we know basically nothing about from the Little Sister series. And Ian's big thing is he wants to read. And I love this. This is totally the kind of kid I was. So even though he's at school and they have recess and free time and everything, he just wants to read all the time. He's been reading a series of books about aliens in outer space, and he got a couple of the books for Christmas, and that's all he wants to do is read, and I am here for that plot point. But the other kids are not okay with it, and they're like, oh, Ian, you gotta come play with us. And it's winter, so of course all the little kids love playing in the snow, because no one has the wisdom of an adult to say, I hate snow. Snow is miserable. Also going on in Ian's life, very exciting if he's a little kid, he has a loose tooth. Again, adult wisdom says loose teeth are disgusting. And one of the best things about not being a kid anymore is your teeth all stay in place. So these two stories eventually are going to converge. Actually, I guess these three stories, if we're looking at the book plot point as well. So every day at recess, the boys and girls get in snow fights, and then they just get petty and they're obnoxious in class. Like they're making all these paper snowflakes, and they decide, or they take it upon themselves to ruin each other's snowflakes. And they had built some forts outside, and they're crushing each other's forts. And it's like, no one cares. But I guess if you're 7, 8 years old and you go to a rich private school, things like snow forts are super important because you can't rebuild it tomorrow. So one day, Ian is at recess and he's not participating in the snowball fight. He thinks his classmates are silly and he wishes they would all just get along. And I like Ian. He's a good kid. And eventually one of the girls throws what seems to be a snowball, but it's actually an ice ball. It hits him in the face and his tooth falls out. And if she were at my school, she would probably be suspended for at least a week, probably a lot more than that. But much like we see with Karen, these children have no consequences for any of their actions. So Ian just has a hole in his mouth now from that missing tooth. But luckily, the Tooth Fairy gives him double money for the pain and trauma of said event. And then, of course, Miss Colman has to have a surprising announcement because she can't teach curriculum like a normal teacher. And the big event in this one is the school is having a winter fair, and her class, they're like fortune tellers, and they're writing messages on pieces of paper that they've cut into snowflakes. And it's like, who cares? But it's all a fundraiser. And I know the schools, like every school, I know they have fundraisers for activities and stuff. But we also know these kids come from very wealthy families. It's like, couldn't they just donate an extra $50 a year or something? Or just raise tuition $50? Why do we have to have these huge event fundraisers every month? They're getting tedious. So, okay, so they have their little festival. And one thing that's always bugged me about all of these books in this series, in the Babysitter's Little Sister, in the main Babysitters Club series, Every single time there's an activity, the adults are needed to assemble these booths for these activities and parties and festivals and fairs and whatever else get together we can come up with. And you start to think after a while, what are happening to these booths after every single event? Why can't they just set them aside and reuse them from time to time? Or even better, why can't they just use a folding table? I'm sure someone in the school has tables. If not, I'm sure someone who attends the school could find a folding table. I'm sure someone associated with the school has a tablecloth, and I've just solved this entire problem. But instead, they like to always rely on the same plot point of the parents, in particular Seth, Karen's stepdad, always building these booths. And it's like, his time is not free. Lumber is not free. I'm recording this in 2022, and the price of lumber has been through the roof the last couple years. They need to cut it out with this fancy booth building nonsense and just use folding tables. Okay. Anyway, rant over. So Miss Colman's kid, they have their great big fancy booth, and these booths are always painted too. It's just such a waste of time and effort to do this for every single monthly event. But the kids put up all their snowflakes and they make a sign, buy a snowflake, just 50 cents, read your fortune or win a prize. So that's actually pretty cute. I do like that. And it tells us that Ian works at this booth for an hour, which seems like a really long time. It seems like maybe 15 minutes, maybe 30 at the most. He's in second grade. How long is this festival lasting anyway? At my school, when we do after-school events, they last 2 hours. I am struggling to imagine this thing is taking all day long, but people in Stoneybrook have no lives, so I guess they have nothing better to do than go to an elementary school winter carnival for 12 hours on a Saturday. It's preposterous. So some of the kids, of course, Mrs. Titus, the principal, buys the first fortune. And her fortune's just very generic. All your dreams will come true. How lovely, said Mrs. Titus. That's a very nice response from her. And some of the kids win prizes, and Ian has a brownie, and it's like, who cares? And then something that is nice is his older brother surprises him with a book that he had bought secondhand at the secondhand booth, not the secondhand table, but it was the next book about this alien invasion that he had been reading in the book series, and that was nice. So Ian and his older brother Chip were getting along there. They hadn't had the best relationship throughout the book, so it was nice to see that the book ends on a nice note. Otherwise, this book was pretty terrible. Definitely forgettable. There were a lot of plot points going on. I did like that eventually they all converged, but I don't think Miss Colman is all that great of a teacher. I would not be happy if my kids were in her class. So I know she's supposed to be the greatest teacher ever, according to these children, but she's really not. She needs to focus some more on curriculum and less on the fun activities. The next book is about the twins who are called Tammy and Terry. I don't really like when twins have matchy names. Just personal preference. I am not a twin. I think they should have less matchy, more individualized. Just my opinion. It'll be nice to see Miss Colman's class from the perspective of other kids. I have not read Twin Trouble previously. I will get to it and get the review for you next Friday. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.